All right. It's your boy Fonzo coming to you from the itty bitty plant city. Please say the itty bitty. So, it's Monday morning. I'm 5 weeks out from Tampa. Sweat. And I'm just doing my morning fasted cardio. And I got 45 minutes on the stairs. So, figured I'd try to kill some time. Just make a video talk. Probably just ramble a little bit. But felt pretty good this morning waking up. Had some good sleep. I actually had some dreams. Funny thing was, I was dreaming about McDonald's, and I was like sneaking in McDonald's to buy some food or whatever. So yeah, I'm hungry. Typical for being on prep. But yeah, I slept good. Woke up this morning, and the first thing I always do, well, I always pray and read my word. But in terms of bodybuilding, I always, especially on prep, I always take a look in the mirror. So I looked and actually like what I saw this morning. You know, I feel like the mornings you look the best as the day goes on. You know, you kind of, for me anyway, the water starts to settle, because I'm always checking my legs. My legs, they always come in last. My legs, and then more specifically, my glutes and hams. So I looked, and I liked the lines that I saw this morning and everything. So that put me in a good mood coming for cardio. So that's that. But what I was thinking about is, I'm at that age, I tell people, I'm 42, and I'm at the age where young people think I'm old, and old people think I'm young. So I'm right in that in between, right? Well, last week, my wife and I, we went to Flex and Flow Gym. Went to Flex and Flow Gym to train. It was our first time there. We bumped into this young man, and he came up, made conversation, and asked me a question. His question was, I believe he told me he was 24 years old, and he lost a lot of weight, and he's kind of like new on his bodybuilding journey or whatnot. So his question was something along the lines of, what advice would I give to someone that's young, up and coming, or something along. I thought of it as, I started training when I was 18. I'm 42 now. What would I tell myself with the mind and experience and knowledge that I have now? What would I tell my 18-year-old self? Okay. I started when I was 18 in high school. It was my senior year, and I took a weight training class. Shout out to Coach Bobo. And once I touched the weights, I just fell in love. So I went to college, kept lifting or whatnot, and I trained. I didn't compete until 2012 was my first competition. So I was 29 years old, and some kind of way, I didn't have a clue about NPC, about bodybuilding, but I just love lifting weights, so I went to the gym. But 2012, when Mr. Milton came up to me in the gym and suggested that I compete, that's when I was made aware of NPC, the amateur ranks, so forth. And then, about 3 weeks after I spoke to Mr. Milton, is when I bumped into my first bodybuilding coach, Ken Baker. So Ken gave me my plan or whatever. We went on, we did the show 12 weeks later. After that, Ken was basically my prep coach. So I kind of did my own thing in the off season, or whatever you want to call it, during the time when I wasn't preparing for a show. So I went on, and it wasn't until 2019 that I got with my coach, my current coach, Ron Gordon. We've been working together now for about 6 years. But looking back over all that time, I thought about what would I change, what advice would I give? And what me and my wife told him, my wife is pretty seasoned too. A couple things that we said. One thing I said was I would keep a focus on flexibility and mobility. Because as I've gotten older, I've gotten less flexible and I can't bend, I can't turn, like I used to when I was younger. Y'all remember, like you would sit on the floor, you bend your knees, and then you lay back? Yeah, I used to be able to do that. Ain't none of that happening now. But that was one of the things. Another thing that I told him was I would take the off season or improvement season serious. That is the time where you make the progress. So if you stick to your meal plan during that time, that's when you're gonna make sure that you optimize the progress that you can make. So basically, we also told him, besides the improvement season, just being consistent overall, which I think I was with my training, pretty consistent over all of those years, but the food I wasn't. Because like I said, I started training, or I should say lifting weights, because I didn't learn how to actually train until much later on. And by that, I mean better form, better execution, controlling the weight, and the big one, intensity. Now, I definitely went hard all that time, but there's another level that you can go to with intensity that I don't think you can just get to by mistake. So it wasn't until I got with my coach, Ron Gordon, that I found out, this is what failure is. So anyway, you got to have all those parts in place. But to be consistent with that, it's going to be monumental to optimizing your progress. Okay? So we told him consistency, importance of the improvement or off season, flexibility, mobility. But I thought about it, and another thing that I would say that is going to set you in such a good position and will really cover all of the things that I just mentioned. Find a good coach. Now that's a whole nother conversation on how do you determine if this person is a good coach or not. Okay, but I'm gonna just say find a good coach. If you find a good coach, it's gonna eliminate all of that, all the guesswork out of what should I be eating. Because again, for me, before I started bodybuilding, before I got with a coach, I would hear people say, you gotta eat big to get big. But I had no idea what a macro was. I had no idea about protein, fats, carbs. So I just ate. Now, fortunately for me, I still grew. And I think that's just a part of my genetics, because even in high school, before I started training, and I was a basketball player, so we did a ton of running. 9th grade, I was 5'10", 185 pounds. And each year, I put on 10 to 15 pounds and stayed about the same body fat. I had a six-pack all the way through. So I know it was muscle that I was putting on. But by the time I graduated high school, I was 220 pounds. So my body was just like made to grow. But if you have that nutrition aspect in there, that's gonna help you, again, optimize and maximize. Because like I said, I didn't have an idea. So luckily I grew, even though I was just eating everything. But having that coach, he's gonna narrow down, give you a meal plan to follow. He's gonna work on your training. My coach, he lives in California. I live here itty bitty Plant City, Florida. So I have flown out there a couple times to train with him, and like I said, that just changed my whole perspective on training, on intensity, and so forth. That was pivotal for my progress and my bodybuilding journey. But also, in the meantime, in between time, along with my check-in videos, I send weekly check-ins, which helps keep me on track, right? I also send him clips from my training, and he gives me feedback, talks about my execution, tells me when it was a good set, when I had more to give, so on and so forth. But he is someone that is a good coach. He's knowledgeable. He's somebody that I respect. And everything that he said and tells me has been proven. So again, to take out a lot of that guesswork of stuff that I said previously that's going to benefit you getting a good coach. So we said nutrition is going to handle that, take the guesswork out of that. Your training, then also your presentation. If you decide to be a competitive bodybuilder, you might just be a lifestyle client, and you can still work on presentation. But for the competitive bodybuilders, that coach is going to help you with that. And then you can always get more specific with like an actual posing coach, you know, an actual personal trainer. But if you have a good coach, then he will be pretty proficient at all of those things. So if I could speak to that 24-year-old again, this is what I would tell him. Everything that I said, but that coach is huge. I mean, I've been training, lifting weights, whatever, since 2001. And I have a coach. I'm an IFBB pro now, but I have a coach. He has more knowledge than me, and he guides me, you know? So that's that. That's what I would tell 18-year-old Fonzo, myself, to do. And I think I would be in a different position, but I ain't gonna cry with spilt milk, you know? I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with my life. I'm grateful, humbled. I thank God for every day. Thank God that I can put one foot in front of the other. Keep making these steps. Ooh, y'all. All right, I'm tired. I'm 25 minutes into my 45-minute cardio. And thank y'all for watching. That's my cardio talk for this morning. All right. Y'all have a happy Monday. Have a happy day. Happy and blessed day. I'm out.